things, you still have Jesus on your mind and willing to share Jesus at any time. That is a passionate kind of love. Like I say, we all probably could easily say that we love Jesus, and that is true. But we're taking it to a deeper degree. We're talking about a passionate love. When there is passion involved in it, everything else kind of subsides. Everything is about that which you are passionately in love with. Mm-hmm. We should be in love with Jesus in that fashion. And we're going to use the early church as an example of that passionate kind of love. In Acts chapter 2, we'll start out there, then we'll move forward into Acts chapter 5. But in Acts chapter 2, the last two verses, verses 46 and 47, we're going to use the early church as the example of passionate love. And in verses 46 and 47 of Acts chapter 2, and they, talking about the born-again Christians, the early church here, and they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singing and singleness of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. Now we're talking about a passionate love, and the early church exhibited that passionate love because that's all everything was about. The apostles and the early disciples and the early converts into the Christian family, the early church there, it didn't matter about anything. Everything they did, everything they said, everything about them was focused on Jesus and nothing else. It's all about Him. It says daily they continued with one accord in the temple. As Sister Marcia was testifying about, that's a longing we're hearing from so many people, a desire to be in God's temple in one accord. They break bread from house to house. They ate meat with gladness and singleness of heart. Do you see the joy that is in their life? The joy of the relationship and the bond that the Christian family has, and Jesus as the head of the family. They had singleness of heart. They praised God. Everywhere they went, they were praising God, doing the work of God. And it says here they had favor with all the people. People begin to recognize the difference in the walk and the talk and the example and the life of the Christians, the early Christians there and the apostles. Found favor with them. The church was rapidly growing. A passionate love. They had a passionate love for Jesus. Now let's skip on forward to chapter 5 of the book of Acts. In chapter 5, about halfway into the chapter, about verse 17, we begin a section of scripture here that's dealing with the apostles and the attack that come against them because they were preaching the truth, because they were preaching Jesus Christ. They begin to get attacked for that. They actually get imprisoned here. We'll read this in just a moment. When you are passionately in love with Jesus, as we have pretty much established this, if you are passionately in love with Jesus, then everything in your life revolves around it. And these early apostles, these early Christians, that was it. I mean, they go on back in chapter 5, and they were many signs and wonders, and they were doing great things, and they were sharing the gospel message. Everywhere they went, it was all about Jesus, and they were sharing it, and there was healings and miracles and all this going on. They were passionately in love with Jesus. When you are passionately in love with Jesus, then the world will be against you. Because the world is in love with the world. That's where their passion is at. But if your passion is for Jesus Christ, then you are against the world. And there becomes this conflict there. And that's exactly what happened in this section in Acts chapter 5. But let's read verses 17. We'll read through 21. Then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is the sect of the Sadducees, and were filled with indignation, that's jealousy, and laid their hands on the apostles, and put them in the common prison. But the angel of the Lord by night opened the prison doors, and brought them forth, and said, Go, stand and speak in the temple to the people all the words of this life. And when they heard that, they entered into the temple early in the morning and taught. But the high priest came, and they that were with him, and called the council together, and all the senate of the children of Israel, and sent to the prison to have them brought. Now let's get this imagery played out here for just a minute. The apostles are preaching Jesus Christ. And if you go back, I believe it was in chapter 4, some of them have already been told specifically, you don't preach Jesus. Well, they, of course, continued to preach Jesus everywhere they went. Why? Because they were passionately in love with Jesus. And here they're called by the council, and they're arrested and put in prison so the next day they could stand trial before the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the council. They're going to stand trial for preaching Jesus because they've been warned not to do it. So they put them in prison, but then that very night the angel came and removed them from prison and gave them a command. He said the angel told them, go stand and speak in the temple. Now they've just been arrested for speaking Jesus Christ in the temple. Here the angels encourage them, keep doing it. Keep doing it. No matter what may come against us because we are sharing the gospel message of Jesus Christ, take this command. Go stand and speak. Go stand and speak.